Good evening to you all. Thank you very much for attending this special evening. I am Patsy Calvimonte. I'm the president of the eClub from the West Jordan Club. I am the current president, but Devin Thorpe right here, he is the president-elect for 2021. And he is so graciously asked Mr. Jason to come and be with us tonight. So we're very happy to have him. I'm very thankful that he had taken some of his time to join us today, and that this is something that we really needed in these times. We're going through a tough time now as a country, and we Rotarians are able to get together now and still see each other and still help each other and help our neighborhoods and our members as well. So I'm very glad that we are able to meet each other still through this way. So thank you, Devin, for thinking of this very special meeting that we're going to have today. So I want to thank all of you fellow Rotarians to be here, and Mr. Jason Hewlett as well. And let's see, without any more delay, I'd like to have Devin Thorpe do the proper introductions to Mr. Hewlett.
I am excited to do that, but before we do that, let's have Governor John tell us a little bit about Rotary.
I would love to. Thank you, and thanks everybody for joining us. And I hope there are a lot of non-Rotarians on the call as well, and that you get motivated to seek out a nearby Rotary Club and join us. Rotary International started 115 years ago with its founder, Paul Harris, and 3 businessmen in Chicago. They wanted to make connections and build friendships and network and do great projects in their community. Rotary grew rapidly, and today it's the largest service organization in the world with more than 1.2 million members in more than 200 countries and territories, 33,000 Rotary clubs. Utah comprises 1 district with 45 clubs all over the state. The motto of Rotary, service above self, shows the focus of Rotarians doing projects in our local towns and communities, as well as throughout the world. Rotary provides great opportunities for us to help others in lots of ways, and we continue to have great opportunities for fellowship and networking. Rotary now includes anyone really with a desire to make their community better, from students to retirees to people at home raising kids to all types of workers. Rotary is open to absolutely everyone. No barriers of politics or race or religion or gender or anything. And this is one of the core values that makes Rotary so powerful throughout the world. Rotary has 6 areas of focus, from child and maternal health to clean water and sanitation and many others. Environmental stewardship is soon to be added either as an overlay over all 6 of those or as a 7th area of focus. Eradicating polio forever has been the hallmark global project of Rotary for many years now. Beginning in the late 1980s with more than 350,000 cases a year of polio, paralytic polio, now down to this year 40 cases. It was endemic in 125 countries, now it's in only 2. This has been a remarkable effort, and what's remarkable now is the infrastructure that's been created over these decades is now being used in a variety of ways to slow and stop the spread of the coronavirus. So I love Rotary for the friendships, for the ability to impact my community and the world with friends and like-minded people. I would urge you all to check out our website at utahrotary.org for more information, or send an email to me, or get in touch with whoever invited you to this meeting, and hope you'll join us. And thanks for being on this conference call, and back to you, Devin.
Thanks, Governor. It is an honor for me to introduce my friend, our speaker, Jason Hewlett. He has delivered thousands of presentations around the world, performed in every major casino in Las Vegas, inspired the troops in wartime Afghanistan. He's the author of The Promise to the One, wrote the Facebook post read around the world, "I saw my wife at Target today," which has been seen by more than 100 million people. His talk will help us embrace the promises we make to those we serve, our peers we work with, and to ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Hewlett.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Devin, for that intro. You can hear me okay? Yeah, all right. Well, hey, this is quite an honor. And here's the thing. I have quite the history with Rotary. In fact, my dad emailed me earlier today, and he told me specifically to make sure to mention that I have great-grandparents on both sides that were Rotarians in Utah, as well as my grandpa Harold was, in fact, Harold Waite was over the Sugar House Rotary, and some of you might know him. And then, of course, my grandmother Peggy, she was a soloist in high school at the Denver International Meeting in the 1930s. And so that's how far back my relationship with Rotary goes. And it's such a pleasure to be a part of this with you all tonight. Thank you for taking a minute. We're going to talk tonight about our promise to our community, as well as our promise to ourselves, and how we can serve one another with that which makes us unique in our own capacity. And so I want you to be thinking tonight about what it is that makes you different. What are your unique gifts? Have you ever thought about that? Most of the time we think, you know, I have maybe something that makes me different, but I mostly have to improve a lot. Well, tonight we're not going to talk about improvement as much as we're going to talk about being our best selves and utilizing our strengths. Now, we're all in the middle of a very interesting time, aren't we? Like the weirdest thing that's ever happened in the history of all of our lives, I believe. And as we're going through this, how are we keeping promises to ourselves? You see, I like to say, why set a goal when we can make a promise? And it's not to say that goals aren't important. But where goals are particulars, promises are proclamations. Because if you make a goal and you miss it, you just make a new goal and try to hit it the next time. But if you make a promise and you break it, then you have a problem. You have to make sure to make a promise that is significant and keep it for those that you are either living with or working for or serving as Rotarians do in the community. So what are some of your promises? Perhaps tonight, whether it's online or even at your home, you could make a proclamation of what your promise truly is to the world and how you have something that makes you extraordinarily unique as only you can offer it. Now, tonight I want you to see as I switch to my different camera angle, there we are, I'm actually sitting in at my piano room in my house. And in order to hear what I'm about to do, I have to put on some headphones. But have you ever been to a concert where an artist didn't play their hit song? That's a bummer. I know I've been to concerts where I go, wait a minute, they didn't play the song I came to hear. I remember the first time I went to a Billy Joel concert. And now why is this important? Because we want to hear the hits, just like you have your hits. I call them your signature moves. They're that which makes you extraordinarily unique from everyone else. Are you utilizing your hits, your signature moves? You see, Billy Joel had 38 top 40 hits in his career. And at the concert I went to, he played 37 of them, and then he left the stage. And he didn't play the one song we all came to hear. I don't know if you can guess which one it was, but it was a song involving a harmonica around his neck. It was called The Piano Man. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, he didn't play his hit song. But we as an audience, we didn't leave. We just sat there cheering until he came back. And that's what your audience does. You see, we're all performers, whether we like it or not. We are all in a performance, a grand performance the world over. How is your performance going? It's in your promise keeping, that which you make and keep for others that makes this world a wonderful place. And so when Billy Joel came back on the stage, he grabbed the harmonica. And even though he had done 37 of his top hits, he hadn't done the one song we all came to hear. How are you keeping your promise and your signature songs and signature moves? It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me, and he's singing about what's happening. Those are the Utah words. This is your chance. If you have like your phone, you should just wave it by yourself at your house. Oh, la 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 da da da, la la da da da. If you want to sing it, help me out. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Oh, sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody. You've got us feeling alright. I want you to think about the many people that you serve, that you've chosen to serve throughout your community. This is a time actually right now in this pandemic that we can choose to serve even more or even deeper at a greater level than we ever have before. It's actually very much needed. I hope you know what you do as Rotarians makes the world an incredible place, but you have to share your voice. Oh, sing us a song, you're the piano man. Oh, sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody. You've got us feeling alright. All right. I hope you enjoy those applause. I actually have applause coming right through the phone. Are you thinking about your song? Are you thinking about your promise? Maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about and you can't relate at all. That's okay. Maybe you've never thought about all the things that make you extraordinarily unique. Because you see, you have talents that you've never quite considered because you do them naturally. When we do something naturally, we just can't help it. It's just like when you hear a great singer like Billy Joel and you go, wow, that's so great, he can do that. He didn't just figure out one day that he could play the piano so well and he could write perfect songs and he could play the harmonica and he could sing at the same time. That doesn't just happen. We have to create something of our lives. And I want to take you through a process as to how you can discover that tonight. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, this is a good exercise to go through, especially if you want to make some changes for this evening rather than just sitting and watching. However, if you want to just sit and watch, that's cool too. But I want you to walk away with something really powerful. You see, when you find out your signature moves, it's through the ICM process. I stands for identify. C stands for clarify. M stands for magnify. And so the ICM process is very simple. I'll take you through it real quick. And, you know, we could go into a whole thing about it, but let's be quick here. ICM, identify. Let's go to that first. Rather than me saying, what's your signature move, that one thing you bring to Rotary every time you serve or you give or you do something as a leader. Now, instead of just pointing out the one thing that you have, I want you to consider that you have many, many talents, gifts, strengths, abilities, attributes, you name it. Probably way more than you've ever thought about in your life. I want you to start writing those down as I talk. I want you to just go for it. Don't self-edit. Just write it down. Whether it's, I mean, if I'm doing this process, it's always interesting because I write these down and I say, I'm a musician and I sometimes can be funny and I like to do voices of other artists. Maybe I'll show you some later. I like to be a dad. I'm actually pretty good at writing music and I'm a good writer as well. In fact, I finally wrote a book because I kept a promise to myself after going through this ICM process. And so as you're writing down your talents, your gifts, whether it's that you're a problem solver, maybe you just have a giving heart and everybody needs somebody with the giving heart. Maybe you're an organizer, an administrator. Think about all of your talents and gifts. I might even dare you to try to get to 100. Now you're sitting there like, there's no way I could get to 100. I can barely write down 10. That's okay. But if I were to just take the word, let's say I like artist for myself, I'm going to now unpack the one word artist as to what makes an artist an artist. For example, an artist is dedicated, driven, creative, kind of insane. An artist is somebody who has to throw things at the wall to see what sticks and at the same time be strong enough to be confident to perform and yet humble enough to take feedback. All of those play into qualities that I actually have. It doesn't mean they're my main signature moves, but those are just qualities that I have. And so with the main words that you've gotten, maybe we call them your root words. Those words that you've identified and discovered that you really like, then start to unpack what it means to have those attributes. Maybe it's a skill that you've attained. I know that for me, even doing a Zoom call like this is almost a nightmare compared to standing on a stage in front of thousands of people. Why? Because I'm not used to this, but I have now obtained a new skill set just to be able to do this tonight with you. And that all came about because of a pandemic. So what are we going to make of this time? What are we going to make of a quarantine? Can we learn new skills? Yes. In fact, instead of just standing on a stage and performing and speaking anymore, that's what I make my living doing. Now, I'm not just the speaker tonight. I'm also the lighting technician. I'm also the sound guy. I'm also an engineer all of a sudden, which that doesn't make sense at all, especially if you look at my report card from high school. And so all of these talents I didn't even realize I had. Now I'm going through the identify process once again in a pandemic, in a quarantine. And so Rotarians, what are the talents and gifts and strengths that you're learning you now have even more of than you ever did before this all happened to us? And how are you bettering your life? It's not to say that you're not great already. It's to say we can become greater. And so now if I were to take the words in the list, I hope you'll just keep writing as I'm doing this presentation tonight. I hope that you'll then start circling the ones that really resonate. Whatever those words might be that you really say, I like those words. And as you identify them, you slowly take this funnel down to a top 10 list. Let's say you had 100 you wrote down, which would be amazing. I would applaud you for sure. That would be this button right here. Now, actually, this is my favorite button. I have all these cool tricks on this thing. But here's what I want you to know. As you go through your 100 and you funnel it down to circling the top ones, get to your top 10 list. When you come up with your top 10 list, these are actually what you might consider are your signature moves. And then once you've done this identify process, set that paper to the side for a moment and then make a commitment to me that you'll do the clarify process when we're done with this call, that you'll actually go and ask the people you know and trust the most to clarify for you what they think your talents and gifts are. Maybe you've never asked your family. Maybe you're scared to ask them. But I want you to just go ask them and say, hey, I was listening to Jason Hewlett talk about the promise, what my signature moves might be. What do you think makes me unique? What are my talents and gifts? This isn't a time for criticism, because you probably heard enough criticism in the last month being trapped in your house. But now it's a time for really playing up what your gifts are. You see, you have talents that make you extraordinary. You may not even see them. And when you ask the people you trust and you live with, the people in your family, the people at work, the people that you associate with the most, maybe fellow Rotarians, you could get together as like a group, you know, and say, hey, how could we utilize better the skills of a Devin Thorpe, who's already talented in giving and serving? But how could we utilize more of his skills? Hey, I know he's good at the electronic side of things, or he's a very good public speaker. How could we use him more in these capacities and build him up? That's where the ICM process of identify, clarify, magnify really comes into play. And then once you've got the list from people that have given you new words, you're going to be blown away what happens. Where I might say for my words in my identify process, I might say, I identify that I'm funny. When I clarify with my friends, do you guys, you know, what do you think are my talents? They might give me a better word like, you're not just funny, you're hilarious. And I'm like, really? Or my wife, when I asked her, because I thought I was just kind of a giving person, she said, you are giving, but I would clarify that you're thoughtful. And so they're better words. And as you start to meld the two worlds together between the identify list you came up with and the clarify list they come up with, that's when you magnify your signature moves. That's when you teach it, you share it, you leverage it in every capacity. You see, artists have done this for years. There's a guy named Elvis Presley that when he first started out, he sang naturally and he went, oh, he did this thing with his lip. Can you see that? Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get closer to the mic here. I got all this stuff wrapped around here, but look at this. Look at what I can do with my face. Ready? Oh, yeah, yeah. Now, do you think that Elvis thought that that was attractive? Well, I don't know. I mean, he was Elvis, so maybe it was. But do you think that he stopped there? No. Because when he sang, he went, oh, this one for my two show, to get ready now, go, okay, go. And when he started to shake and move, his shoulders started to bounce. And he started to move like, oh, okay. So that's the way we're, okay, let me get a better shot. Ready? Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm all shook up. Oh. Now Elvis Presley started to shake and move. And what did the women do when he did that? They did. They loved it. They wanted him to do it more. And so do you think he stopped? Do you think he was like, oh, well, they clapped when I did that? No way. The more that he did the leg movement, the more they went crazy. And that's the same with your talents and your gifts. Are you sharing them every day, or are you holding them back? You see, it's what makes artists so special. When they share that which makes them unique. When they share that which only they have. For example, if I were to do another classic, this guy doesn't even have a good singing voice. I mean, come on. But he played the guitar. He played the harmonica. He was considered the greatest singer-songwriter in the history of music. I'm talking, of course, about a guy with really great hair, Mr. Bob Dylan. Hey, Miss Tambourine, man, that's hot from me. I must be there. Oh, they're in the place. Going to. Hey, Miss Tambourine, man, that's hot from me. In your jingle jangle morning, I come following you. I love that one. Yeah. Oh, some of you thought that was funny. Thank you very much. It's nice to have your own laugh track in life. I wake up and I go, good morning. Thank you. I know. Madison Square Garden. Thank you. But my friends, I hope as you're listening to me and you're watching me and you're thinking about your own talents and gifts, how are you sharing them with the world? Because you've got them, just like these artists that I love to showcase. You see, I'm not even good at really singing like them, because who is? But they had unique sounds. They had unique talents and gifts that made them who they were. And their signature moves were so powerful, so strong, just like yours are, that when they left the room, that's what everyone impersonated or imitated. Just so you know, that's what they're doing about you when they talk about you. They're amplifying your gifts, just as you can magnify your own. So when the music to this group from the 70s comes on, what happens to your hands automatically? Yeah. The Bee Gees, huh? It goes like this. Here we go.
Man, you can tell by the way I sing this song. I'm a woman's man, but not for long. I can try to sing so high, I can make a big dog cry. Yes, I would sing so high tonight, breaking eardrums left and right. You can try to understand when I say that I'm the man. Time to prepare to do this with your hands. Now you're singing way high, you're singing way high. Well, you gotta keep on singing until it's a bleeding down, stay alive, stay alive. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive.
Yeah, there they are, the Bee Gees. I love it. Thank you. I'm glad I have this clap track, but I can see you clap, and I appreciate that. But you know, think about your talents. You've got them. Are you using them? Or are you holding them back? Because within the community, it's time to share. I mean, the other day, I was walking around in a really weird state, you know? I mean, here we are trapped in our homes, not sure what's going on or what's going to come of us when our children are going back to school. And apparently, as of today, never. Oh, man. But here's the thing. As I'm walking around the neighborhood, and I live in Daybreak in South Jordan, a beautiful place that's continually being built with new homes. I was walking the streets, and I started out March 12th, walking 4 miles a day, okay? Just wandering as far away as possible from my house. No, I'm just kidding. I was just walking into the street and into the neighborhood and looking at the homes. And eventually it got further and further, 5 miles. Then the next day, 6 miles. One day I did 7 miles. I'm just walking. And I'm frustrated. I'm talking to myself. I've got my earbuds in. And I'm thinking, what is wrong with me? What do I do now? Because I don't know about your job situation, but here's mine. I'm a professional speaker for large events with thousands of people gathering to watch me. I now have no work at all. Now, sit on that for a second. What if that's the only job you've ever had? I've never not had a job where I wasn't in front of an audience of thousands of people. I mean, other than once in a while, I'll perform at my grandma's nursing home, you know, where there's 12 people. But I love being in front of an audience. And now I no longer can provide for my family. It's now been like this for a month. I'm starting to feel a bit useless, helpless, maybe defeated. And I'm walking down the road, and I start walking in a direction I don't even notice I'm going. I'm just muttering to myself about how sad I am for me, and that my job is considered non-essential. That's a big thing for me. I always thought I was an essential person. I always thought I had essential work. And now they're saying, you're not essential. You're not helpful. You are useless. Stay in your house. I mean, that's a horrible thing to feel. And so I'm walking just to wherever. And the next thing I realize, I have walked the entirety of daybreak. I am now on the outskirts, and sun is setting. It's cold. It's March. And I'm looking around, and there are no homes anymore. There are no people, no cars. All there are foundations of homes that have been laid and poured. And as I'm mumbling and talking to myself into a voice memo on my phone, all of a sudden I heard a sound in the distance. A dog barking, just like you'd hear in any neighborhood in America. And I'm walking towards this foundation of this house at night. It's dark now. I hear the barking getting louder. I look into the foundation of a house, and there is a dog looking up at me going, arr, 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 as if to say, help, help. Nobody's around. You're the only guy. Help. And I looked down in there. He wasn't stuck, like his paws weren't like in the cement. It was fresh though. He was just walking around. I said, what are you doing down there? What did you do? And I looked for a mother-in-law opening. There was no way he walked downstairs. He must have jumped into a window well and then gone down into the foundation. I looked at the window well, and it was deep. It was like 5 feet deep. I go, what are you doing down there? Do you want some help? And he's going, arr, arr, arr. So in my Planet Fatness with my fat guy in a little coat, I shimmied down into the window well, like, and I go, come here. The dog jumped up, and I grabbed him under his arms. It was like a little, it was a pug. It looked like a bulldog, but it was a pug with really longer legs than I expected. And I picked him up, and I set him out over the top of the window well. And I said, goodbye. And I climbed out of the window well. And I got out, and I wiped myself off, and I looked, and he was still there. And he started rubbing against my leg. And I go, it's okay. You're okay. Go on. I pet his head, and he was going, and I go, you're free, go. And he ran off. It didn't occur to me just then because I kept walking until I found my way home. But in my time of helplessness, I realized I was still helpful, even to a dog. I mean, I don't know if you believe in a faith or a universe, but something led me to that place. To be the helper, to be the only person at that moment in time that would not be listening to my AirPods and not listening to what sounds around me might allow me to help something or someone that only I could help in that moment. Are we listening? Are we looking? Are we keeping our eyes open for the opportunity to help others? That's the promise. You see, on my identify list of the ICM process, I identify that I am a helper. I'm a giver. I'm somebody who's doing a Rotary call. I mean, come on, right? We give, we serve, we do what we can. And other people have identified through their clarified process for me that I am somebody who will give. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. You are all servers. You have gifted your lives and your talents to serving others. So when you feel helpless, remember you're still helpful. When you feel non-essential, because they say you are all of a sudden, you have no way to make money. My friend, you're still essential. You still have great gifts and talents you can share with the world. Don't let those go to waste. Don't turn the music up so loud that you can't hear the blessings of the earth that will come to you. And sometimes you might hear a dog that you could actually help and save. And other times someone might come to your aid to help you. You see, I couldn't do this call tonight with you had it not been for somebody who saw on Facebook that I had written, I have lost all of my work. I don't know what I'm going to do. And this friend contacted me and he said, I'd like to hire you to come on a call with my company. And I said, oh, I just do those just because. And he said, no, you don't. I am going to give you money to speak to my group. I said, no, I just do calls. I'm now doing 12 hours a day of Zoom calls. I've burnt out, ring light eyeballs. He said, I am giving you something. And I said, well, actually, I don't want to take your money, but if you have something like this or a way to get it, I need this certain technology that allows me to be able to change up my ability between, doing one angle and doing another. And he said, oh, okay, let me see if I can find it. He couldn't find it. He could not find it. There was nowhere available for this type of technology. And then he came to me and he said, actually, I did find it. I said, where? He said, on eBay. Everyone in the world wants that one thing that you need. And it's triple the price. He said, it's not just the $250 it is normally, it's almost $1,000. And he said, I just bid on it. I bought it. It's coming to your house. Now, this person came out of nowhere in my life. This person served me in a way no one ever has. And then we did the call for his company. They loved it. They laughed. I created a course just a week earlier called The Promise of the Work from Home Parent during the coronavirus and COVID-19 quarantine. I had created 30 videos, just short videos about the best ways to keep our promise for our job, our families, ourselves, and our community as now work from home parents. If you've never done it, I've been doing this for 20 years. I mean, I get on a plane once in a while, but I've been doing this for a long time. He came to my rescue. He helped me out of the foundation of the home after I had helped that wonderful creature of God that came out of the foundation, that sweet little dog. And so how are we able to serve? We have our signature moves. We have our gifts. And I hope that you'll share that which you can as only you can. It's your song. It's something that only you can do. I hope you remember this next great artist, Sir Elton John. It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. I don't have much money, that's true now especially. Boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. And you can tell everybody this is a song. Maybe quite simple, but now that it's done, hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind, let it put down in words how wonderful life is. You're in the world. Hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind, that I put down in words how wonderful life is. You're in the world. And so as you go through this ICM process, and as you start to realize, whoa, lots of chords. Being my own sound guy, this is not easy. As you start to realize you have incredible gifts and talents, as you share them with the world as only you have them, the ICM process can help you identify, clarify, and magnify your promise. And it's not just to say we need to set a lot of goals now. I'm not saying to get busier. I'm saying, what are your promises? What are your true proclamations? What are those essential things that you'll be doing every single day, no matter what? Just like taking the time to be on a call like this with probably a performer and speaker you've never heard of, and you'll not hear of anymore because I don't do events anymore. I'm going to do more of these, and that's why I'm grateful you'd have me on tonight. But what are your promises? How do you magnify your talents and gifts? Let me show you how I figured out I could do some things with my face that make me quite unique from everyone else. You see, when I was a kid, I found out I could do that Elvis lip that I showed you earlier. Now, the dentist, when he said open wide, I went, and he said, okay, that's pretty wide. I can use both hands. And he said, no. And so I closed it a little bit, and he said, when he pulled the tool out of my mouth, my lip stayed like that. He said, how do you do that? I said, I don't know. He said, stop. So I did. He said, do it again, and I could. And he said, that's your gift. And as a 5-year-old kid, I remember thinking, this is my gift. This is what I got. I mean, I don't know about you, but I hope you're happy with the talents you got, because this is what I got, that and a big mouth. Now, if I can do that, my dentist said to me, in all honesty, he said, that's cool. You should probably be able to do the other side too. No one had ever given me permission to explore that. But he was right. I could do both sides. I could go back and forth. I mean, this is weird, right? Now, I hope as you did your identify process, you're now looking at me and going, okay, I'm glad I didn't get that. But you have talents I don't have, and I have talents you don't want. And so are you sharing yours? Now, the next thing, the dentist said, if you can do that with your top lip, you should be able to do more things with your face. I'm grateful for a mentor like my dentist. Has anyone ever said their dentist was their mentor? I do, because he told me I could do fascinating things with my face. He said, I found out I could catch a wave like the ocean. Oh, yeah. And then my eyebrows. It took years to figure this out, you guys. And why am I showing a bunch of Rotarians what I can do with my face? And no, you don't need to adjust your screen. This is exactly what I can do with my face. Do I share it? Yes. But it proves the ICM process is important. You see, I've showed you some of the signature moves of other artists here tonight. Billy Joel with The Piano Man, Elton John with Your Song, the Bee Gees. I'm trying to remember what else we did. Bob Dylan. But what about you? What's your signature move? You have them. You probably found them out when you were a kid, and you now use them throughout your life. Or you've done something worse. You hid them away because somebody said that's weird. I hope you haven't hidden it away, but most people do in some way. You see, when I did this as a kid, I'd say, hey, ladies, and they'd be like, ah, and I go, ah, and I'd chase them like a raptor, you know. That didn't help me get any dates. But what it did do is it made them say, ew, that's ugly. But then they laughed. Now, I could either lean into them saying that's ugly and stop forever, or I could lean into them saying that's funny and keep my promise to always share that which makes me unique. Which one do you lean into? What's your promise? And so as you're thinking about it tonight, I hope that you'll share that which makes you exclusively unique in this world. And I did create this course that's a free course. Maybe Devin and friends, we can share this with everyone. It's free, like I say. I made a 30 video course on how best to keep our promise as work from home parents, if you want it. We'll share a link somewhere, and hopefully you can check that out. I think it's pretty cool. It took me 48 hours to make. I shot it on location in different places in my house and then up on the mountaintop because that's where no one was. But I wanted to record it because I said, you know what? There are lots of talents and gifts out there, and people don't know how to be a parent working at home. How do you work from your house and still get things done? How do you share your gifts and your talents? Here's a piano. Here's an iPod. There are things that I'm utilizing in order to share something unique with you tonight. And maybe you're sitting there thinking, I've got so many talents and I haven't used them. Or maybe the old piano needs to be dusted off. I need to play it again. Maybe I need to pull the paints out of the drawer and paint one more time. Maybe I should write that book I've always been meaning to write. Whatever yours is, share it, because you have talents that are incredible. Now look, I can also do this with my nose. Now, I don't know if you can see that because of the way that the camera works, but you can imagine how fun that is wherever I go, especially when I'm walking down the pathway now, you know, and I've got my mask on. And when people see you with your mask on, they're like, he must have it, you know, and I go, I don't have anything, but whatever I have, it's bad. You know, and then I go like, ah! And I chase him as a raptor, and nobody's touched me in months. Actually, it's been years. Nobody's touched me. But how are you sharing your talents and gifts? Because you have them. They're what make you exclusively unique and amazing. Let me tell you before we close here about one more talent I found out I have. I've always wanted to be a writer, but I never wrote. I mean, I wrote once in a while, but I didn't commit to it. We now have so much time. Maybe you're sitting there like, I don't have any time anymore. Okay, I get it. But we now have time that we can really choose what we're doing with our day. And I said, I'm going to write a book. I'd been working for 3 years on an idea of a book. And I finally, after 3 years, sat down, and in 3 days, I wrote a book. This is called The Promise to the One. This is a book that I wrote in 3 days. It's 250 pages. Now, tell me that's not a promise kept. The promise to the one is you. You are the one. Are you keeping promises to yourself? Or are you just going for little wimpy goals that you miss? When we make a promise and we keep it, it changes not only our world, but the whole world. And so I'm so grateful for this book. This is not coming out for a few months. It's my first published book. It's coming out in August, which hopefully I'll let you know about that. The ebook will be out very soon. But I just want you to know that the promise works. If you promise to yourself that you'll do something, do it. Share it with others. The ICM process, identify, clarify, magnify. Imagine taking your group of Rotarians through that process, and you come up with your better promise, not just a mission statement, but a real promise that you'll keep every time you do your Rotarian service. Imagine taking your kids through it. Imagine showing them when they're young that they have talents and gifts they don't even see in themselves, because they have it, something that makes them extraordinarily unique. And so as you are all quarantined, I hope that you know that every single day you have a chance to share your gifts or to hide them. It's up to you. And especially now that we have to share our voice with the world, whether it's online, whether it's in the actual community, whether it's when I open the door to my front door and all of a sudden out there is a band of a family that just started it and put it all together in order to play for me and make me smile. How are we sharing our gifts and our talents in the community? What is our promise to share our gift with the world? It's your signature moves. And my name is Jason Hewlett. I'm going to close with this, and then we'll turn it back over to Devin. This is a song by Louis Armstrong. It's a wonderful world when you make it that and share your voice.
I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? Would you do? They're really saying, oh yes, well, I love you, I hear babies cry. I watch them grow, boo boo doo doo. They learn much more, yes, than I ever know. Yes, and I think to myself, boo 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 doo doo. What a wonderful world, oh yeah. Baba Juba doo da da, oh yes, I think to myself. What a wonderful world, oh yeah, ba-ba-da-do-da-do-da.
Thank you very much, you guys. God bless. Thanks for having me, Rotary. You guys are awesome.
Jason, thank you so much. Golly, what a joy. What a joy, what a joy, what a joy. It's been an honor to have you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We give you a virtual standing ovation. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes. Thank you for pushing the standing ovation button. Appreciate that. Excellent. Well done. Well, Joyce, I think you are prepared to give us the four-way test.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And 5, is it fun?
Excellent, excellent. Well, past District Governor Kelly, I think you've got a parting message for us as we wrap up.
What a wonderful night, Patsy and Devin. Congratulations on such a great evening, Jason. We can't thank you enough. I mean, these challenging times when we're going through so much, unprecedented. I mean, I've lived 68 years upon the earth, and I've never seen anything like it. Like no one's seen anything like it, unless you're 105 years of age. So, just a wonderful, inspiring, inspirational message. Governor John, thanks so much for joining the eClub and your message tonight. Just wonderful. Devin asked me if I wouldn't just take a minute and say why I'm a Rotarian, and I'm going to do that by sharing my screen with you. Hopefully you can see that. You know, Rotary is a transformational organization, and it's changing the world. And as Governor John told us, it's been around since 1905. And yet some people are asking whether it's relevant today because there's so many non-governmental organizations, and you can see each of these hands represent wonderful, wonderful organizations that do so much and make such a difference in the world. Who can argue that the American Cancer Society or the American Heart Association or American Red Cross doesn't really make a difference? So really what young people are asking us today are, well, why should I join an organization, a membership organization, when I can just go volunteer with these other important organizations that are making a difference? I'm going to answer that question, why I'm a Rotarian. But first of all, I want to share with you, as a freshman college student, I took Dr. Raskin at the University of Utah, psychology class 101. And he introduced me to a gentleman named Maslow. And Maslow had a hierarchy of needs. And as I sat in an auditorium in the hall up at the University of Utah, there were 500 people in this class. And since I was a little shy at the time, I know that's hard to believe, but I was shy at the time, I sat up in the last row in the balcony, and he was speaking with a microphone. But he talked about Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs, and it resonated immediately with me. He said, you know, there are basic needs that every human being has to have fulfilled. And if they don't have these basic needs fulfilled, then they cannot reach their fullest potential. And he said those needs are food and water and sleep, and those are basic needs that have to be fulfilled. And he says then we have to have security and love and belonging and esteem. And then when those basic needs are met, all of a sudden we can become self-actualized. And that just resonated with me. I thought, well, that's rings true. That's absolutely important. So then imagine my surprise when I joined Rotary. And as Governor John pointed out, there are 6 areas of focus in Rotary. Rotarians believe that these are the areas that need to be fulfilled in order for there to be more peace and stability in the world. And those areas start out with water and sanitation. See how that relates to what Maslow was saying? Disease control, prevention of disease. How important is that today when Rotarians are on the front line of assisting because of our polio involvement with COVID-19? They're using the research that Rotarians have developed in this pandemic that we have right now to get a handle on it. And then we talk about maternal and child health. You have to have that because really the hand that rocks the cradle really does rule the world. And then basic education, because it doesn't matter how poor you are. It doesn't matter how little you have. If you can open a book and read it, the world is at your foot still. So then we talk about economic development. And the final thing, the self-actualization, is peace and stability. Because once we have those basic needs met, at some point we turn around and we look around, as Jason was sharing with us, and we say, we have so many talents. We are so blessed to live in this great land of America. We have so much. How can we give back? And that's, Maslow calls that self-actualization. I call that reaching your fullest potential. And Rotary calls that peace and conflict resolution. Because when people have their basic needs met, there's not the haves and the have-nots. You have more peace and stability in the world. So some people, when I talk about this, as I've gone around and addressed conventions, and I talk about this, people say, well, no, that's not what Rotary is about. Doing service. It's not about bringing more world understanding, goodwill, and peace. Well, there is the mission statement of the Rotary Foundation, and you'll see that it says, we enable Rotarians to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through improvement of health and supportive education, the alleviation of poverty. Exactly what Maslow was talking about. And so why are we a membership organization? Why can't you just come and render service in Rotary? Is because Rotary uses its collective efforts in over 130 countries to bring more peace and prosperity to the plan, and we coordinate that. Our organization coordinates the kind of work that we're doing. It's why, as Governor John pointed out, we've been so effective. That's why we're a membership organization, and that's why you need to belong. Of course, we always welcome volunteers. Any volunteer can come at any time, and there are people probably listening to this webinar tonight. We would invite you to join Rotary. You can find a Rotary club to fit your budget. In fact, right now, Jason, you can carry on your legacy because you're struggling a little bit. Well, the eClub is a perfect club for you, and they have suspended the dues during the pandemic. So you can become a member just by contacting either Devin or Patsy and any of the rest of you that would like to join the eClub. Please feel free to do so. They're looking for active Rotarians that really want to make a difference in the world and really solve and bring more peace and stability to the world. The final thing I just want to say about this is, when you compare those other fine organizations, wonderful organizations, there's an independent organization called Charity Navigator that rates the effectiveness of charitable organizations. There's only 14 organizations in the world that are rated 100% by Charity Navigator, meaning that almost everything you contribute to them, they contribute to making a difference in the world. Rotary Foundation is one of those organizations. You cannot get a bigger bang for your buck than contributing to the Rotary Foundation. They rate over 9,479 organizations in the world. Finally, everything that Rotary does, as I just demonstrated, is to bring more peace and prosperity into the world. Is there ever a time, as we look around the challenges that we face, especially right now with COVID-19, that we need more peace and prosperity in the world? And so with that, I just say, once again, Jason, can't thank you enough for the joy that you brought into our homes tonight. It's so great. I'm sitting here in my pajama bottoms, and I'm getting world-class entertainment. So we want to thank you for that. Devin, thanks for reaching out and making a difference and suggesting there's been over 142 Rotarians or guests that are on this call tonight. Can't thank you enough for that. Patsy, continue your wonderful, excellent leadership. And with that, I turn it back to you, Patsy, and thank you for the opportunity to share why I'm a Rotarian.
Well, Kelly, what you said was truly earth-shaking. I don't know who else felt it, but there was an earthquake while you were presenting. So great job. Great job. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. It was a thrill to have you. We'll make the recording available. Thanks a bunch. And Jason, thank you again. We love you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everybody. Love to have you.